All right, we're ready when you guys are.
I don't think we can call this meeting to order. We don't have a quorum.
We have four.
We need 4.
Don't we have four?
We have 4, right?
Dick, Nick.
Nick, are you a member now?
Four.
Yes, I am.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, my name's Lee Trucks, by the way. Nice to
Nice to
meet
meet
you.
you.
Nick
All right,
Albee.
let's call this meeting to order. Can we have a call of the roll?
Deborah Greenacre. Dick Albee,
Here.
Bill Connor. Ron Hembold. Nick Hawkins,
Here.
Dennis Otto,
Here.
Lee Trucks.
Here. Okay, having an agenda, let's move on. We're at the approval of the agenda. This time, the Historic District Commission can take action to approve the February 3rd, 2021 agenda.
Also move.
We have a second. Moved and second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, item 4, approval of minutes. At this time, the Historic District Commission can take action to approve the November 4th meeting minutes. The copy was included in your packet. Do we have a,
I'll move. We approve the minutes of the November 4th meeting.
second?
Aye, second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, public comment on agenda-related items. Mark, you look like you're active there. Do you have something to say?
I do not.
Okay, going on to item number 6, new business election of officers. At this time, the meeting will be turned over to Zach Zompels, who will ask for nominations. I
All right,
nominate Dick Albee to be chair.
And I'll nominate Lee Trucks for chair.
okay, just a second, guys. So who did you nominate first there?
I nominated Dick Albee.
All right, Nick Albee, do you accept your nomination?
No.
Okay, are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate Lee Trucks for chair.
All right, Lee, do you accept your nomination?
I do.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Okay.
I move a unanimous ballot be cast for me.
I'll
so
second.
that closes the nominations there. So I'll turn it back over to you, Lee.
Okay, nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Bill Connors.
I nominate Dick Albee.
Is that Dennis?
Mhm.
Bill is not here.
So Bill's not,
Bill's not here, but you probably can ask Dick if he accepts it. I guess.
so Bill's not here to accept a nomination,
But you can probably ask Dick if he accepts it.
but Dick, we can ask you if you accept your nomination.
Yes, I will.
Now, was he second or first? I can't remember already.
Dick was second, but I guess what we could do is take a roll call vote and they could say who they're for. Does Lee want to work it that way?
Can you
All right,
take
are
a?
Do you guys have multiple nominations? Is that what's going on?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the board will take a vote on each nomination in the order they were made. So after tallying the ayes and nays, the board will announce the nominee that received the majority of the votes.
Yep.
So that's how you should do it.
Now, Bill does not have to be here, correct?
Correct.
Depends what your bylaws say. So
Hmm.
I think they're silent on that. I don't remember anything in the bylaws that says
There's
that.
nothing, I don't see anything in the bylaws.
all right, hold on. Let me check the open meetings act, guys.
Just went through them. I don't see anything.
It's the judgment of the chair that in the absence of anything that bars nominating a person who's not there, that we accept that as a valid nomination.
All right.
All in favor of Dennis Otto? Say aye.
Wait, Dennis. You could see them.
All right, all in favor of Bill Bennett, say aye.
Yes.
No, wait a minute.
No.
Who is nominated?
Bill and Dick.
Bill and Dick.
All right, all in favor of Bill, say aye.
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 All in favor of Dick, say aye.
Aye.
I count 3-1 for Bill. 3-2, actually. Wait a minute, that's not possible.
Yeah, Dennis voted twice. There. I don't know if that's allowed.
You can't
No,
vote
I
twice.
can't. I can't do that. I tried to sneak that in there, but election fraud.
All right, if Dennis can't vote twice, so that makes it 3. That makes Bill the winner. If you can consider that winning.
Dennis want to vote for Bill or does he want to vote for Dick?
Dennis, who's your vote for?
I'm sorry.
Who's your vote for, Dennis?
For what's the chair?
For vice chair, was it Dick or Bill?
No, I was Dick.
Yeah, okay. So it's 2-1, right?
So it's 2-1 vote,
Right?
correct? That's
No, 3.
Let's have a roll call vote.
Yep, just do a roll call.
Okay. And tell me who you're voting for. Dick?
You can- I'm voting for Bill.
Okay. Nick?
Bill?
Dennis?
Bill.
Lee?
Bill,
Bill wins.
that was just painful enough.
all right, so I think we can safely assume that Bill is vice chair.
Are you sure?
Okay, appointment of the recording secretary. Accept the nomination for appointment of appointment of a recording secretary.
Is that normally Nancy?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, I'll nominate Nancy.
Are there any more nominations? I move that a unanimous ballot be cast to make Nancy the recording secretary.
I'll second it.
Okay, we are at RRC updates.
So for the RRC update, we just got through, I know I wasn't here with you guys. I'm Zach, by the way. Maybe I should have introduced myself earlier, but I'm the new planner for the city here. So the RRC goes up, update here goes through all the motions and the election of officers and things that the HDC did over the past year. You can see in your packet there that goes through all the motions, and if you guys have any questions or concerns, I guess now would be the time to bring that up.
I will also, while we're doing an RRC update later today, you guys, or you might already have it, is we have to identify the RRC properties that we want to see developed in the next year. And that's being held on February 9th at 7 p.m. at, well, it's on Zoom. It's another Zoom meeting for that. And it will be with City Council. So, but as the HDC, you guys are invited to that. And we knew we had a meeting with you today, so we wanted to officially invite you, but look in your emails later today. Mark Miller should be sending out an invite to that as well. If you guys can represent the HDC for that, that'd be great. And then, voice your opinions on which properties you would like to see and rank them accordingly. I know Mark is trying to, Mark Miller, that is not Mark Fetter, is trying to set up a survey for you to take, because normally we would, have an in-person meeting. We'd be able to vote in person. It'd be a lot easier and streamlined. With on Zoom, it does have its own hurdles and problems to jump through. So with that in mind, just look for that later today, guys.
Does anyone have any comment on the update included in the packet? Hearing nothing, and I don't think that requires any action. Moving on to a certificate of appropriateness for 369 River Street.
So for this one, there's a vinyl sign that is asking to go in there. Usually Mark signs off on these. We got it in as I was making this packet, and I wasn't trying to go over Mark's head or anything. I just wanted to make it clear. I tossed it in there. I figured this was the process as we go. So in the future, Mark, I'll make sure you get a hold of those.
Mark, have you talked to Brandon and Amor about this?
Yeah, I wasn't approached by anyone, so I saw it in the packet and mentioned to Mike that that typically, this is how, something simple like this can just kind of come and they can get a hold of me and applicant, or in this case, Amor Sign usually gets a hold of me, and I can just sign off on the placement of this, because it's pretty routine. It happens. That's typically if something comes before me, it's typically something like that, or paint or something. Typically that stuff goes through me. No, to answer your question, I haven't been contacted by anyone prior to this. So, but it's pretty cut and dry.
I would think this is.
You need a motion to approve it? Or can you, Mark, you're just gonna go ahead?
I can just do that administratively.
I can. I'll just sign off on it, and then Zach, I'll scan it and send it to you tomorrow, if that works for you.
That's fine. Yeah, that works for me.
Okay, super.
Okay. On to old business, the letter from Ed Christopher in your packet.
You need a motion to renew this? Is that what we need? For another year?
Are you talking about the sign permit that Mark granted?
Talking about Ed Griswold.
I think that Ed has to make a new application at this point.
Yeah, Ed would have to make a new application. What he gave you was not, it was essentially a letter that I sent to him saying, hey, voicing your guys' concern to him in response to that last meeting we held, just to give a friendly reminder on that, guys. And, just reached out to him, say, hey, you haven't submitted a new application. There's concerns about the building. What's your projected timeline? What's the current status of the project? We're looking, HDC was recommending that you look into a DDA obsolete building grant program. The recommendations you made, and he came back and, let you know that he is having financial difficulties due to COVID, with loss of business. He does, though, still anticipate this summer, as long as the restrictions are lifted, to move forward with it. But he said, can you guys please be a little patient? I realize you've been very patient, but right now with everything that's going on, he's facing just a little bit of issues with that, and that's kind of what his letter outlines. I did speak to him on the DDA obsolete program, as well as the DDA grant program for facade improvements. He was very excited to hear that, and he said he planned on applying for it. He was also getting in touch with the brownfield, so that's kind of a first move for him is to get in contact with the brownfield authority there in the city and try to work some of the issues that he might have on site. So at this time, we haven't reached out to see if he's made contact, but that would be something that we would need to do and kind of follow back up with it. I don't want this this property to, I don't want to move it off of, old business until we get some kind of resolution on it. But I would like, Zach to reach back out to him and verify that, hey, he has made that contact with Brownfield, and say, and see where he's at with the grant application program with the facade, and see if he's made any attempt to get through there with the DDA. And then from there we can kind of decide what action you guys would like to go. In the past, if you guys felt like things weren't moving in a direction that you would like to see it go, we've recommended blight enforcement on properties. The city is currently working through the 2 properties that you guys have requested blight enforcement on, the old Rosmeric Jewelry, as well as I believe it's 411 River Street, the one right next to Manistee Beverage. And they're trying to, from my understanding, it was addressed last night, work through, without having to cite them for another ticket, a compromise that they can both be agreeable to. So I did kind of want to give you an update on those as well. It was addressed during city council last night, where one of the city council members, city council member Grabowski, asked directly about those 2 buildings. And all of that kind of started with you guys, with the blight complaint for a recommendation from the HDC. Now, I don't know if we're to that point yet, but that is completely up to you guys in what direction you would like to go.
At this point, it appears that we have 2 options. One is to contact him and just to sort of encourage him to make sure that he makes the proper applications, and that he can't get a building permit without approval. So at some point, he's going to have to renew his application. Our other option at this point would be to contact the city about the blight ordinance. How does the board feel about this?
Well, I kind of feel the letter that he got, that we got in November, said that he still plans on starting construction on the, oh, wait a minute. That letter, November 12th, 2020. He says, I plan on start construction in the summer of 2020, which is past. I don't quite understand it.
That's probably a typo.
I think he meant 21.
You know, I kind of feel like we renewed the application on 347, 349, and 411 without any new application from him, or without any new specs or anything. So I don't know why we just don't renew this as it is and let Ed know that he's got a year to get it done.
There's one difference, is that we renewed those applications while the certificate of appropriateness was still in effect. In this case, the certificate of appropriateness expired probably, Mike, when was that? Last summer?
It was January 31st of last year. So it's almost 2 years old, I'd say.
But I don't think it's appropriate to we don't have anything to renew at this point.
No, I would not offer a blanket renewal. That is not a recommendation I would make. I would make him come back before, because I doubt that your initial application had brownfield cleanup on it or other grants that he's looking to enter into. And while this is the first step towards that, it should still be a step that he comes before. I mean, you have either a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old permit that you guys had offered. It might not be the same plan he submits either. So offering a blanket renewal without seeing a plan is something that we do not recommend.
Okay, but he'll probably just submit the same plans that he did originally, I imagine.
He could, but we should still have those on record.
Right.
But at the same time, if he modifies something or maybe something changes, you don't want to just offer an approval and then because of brownfield or whatever else, he has to adjust his plan.
All right. Will you call him then, Mike, and make sure he submits a new plan?
Yeah, I mean, we'll reach back out to him and say, hey, well, if you want, we can request like, hey, the board would really like to see a new plan. Or we could reach out to him and just find a status update as far as where he's at with the brownfield as well as the DDA. My guess is the DDA is going to require to see a plan too. If he resubmits that, he still has to go and apply for a building permit. That's the process is building permit. They'd say, hey, you're going to need a certificate of appropriateness. Then he comes to us for that certificate. We grant it. Then he's allowed to get the building permit. So he really should be applying with Steve Hagan first, and then the sitting building inspector, and then come back through to us. So, but we can definitely reach out and find out if he's planning on applying, what the status is, and when he anticipates that, if that's the route the board would like us to take.
What's the board's opinion?
Or commission, I'm sorry, you guys are commission.
We kind of discussed this quite a few meetings ago, didn't we? I thought that we covered that if a permit is expired and, nothing's been done for a year or two, that we need some kind of revised or an updated permit, only because it's past the time that the permit should be enforced and, good for. And if somebody waits, if they're going to wait 2 years, what's they wait 4 years? I mean, after a year, I think I brought up a couple of meetings ago. That's why on the permits, I still think it's not a bad idea to have an approximate day of construction start. We don't have to hold them to the day, an approximate day of construction ending. If you don't do that, this is the problem you run into. It just keeps going and going. And they just call for the permit, or the permit. When's it going to be done? You would never allow this in your own home if a contractor came in and said, hey, and he just works a year after year after year doing the project. And most of the people and most of the communities I've dealt with when I had my business, that was always on the permit. And you didn't have to hold the guy to the exact day, even the exact week, but probably within sometime in the month of start should be good, unless there's some drastic circumstance. And also an end date should be roughly. You can't let a project take, put a door in, it's going to take 2 years. Who's going to say it shouldn't, after it's been 2 years? Then we get in the problem of, why did it take you 2 years? Should we renew a permit for the door? you start getting into all this stuff we're into really. And after a certain time, he should really resubmit a new plan, and even if it's the same one, and he should sign off that there's been no changes, the plan remains the same, and we'll go by that, or list any changes he's made or thinking he's going to make. What do you think?
That's fine. Let's call him, tell him to get a new application in. With
Yeah, I
any-
mean, I think we'd like to see, even if it's the old plan, in case he hasn't changed something or revised it or thinks just because he's getting a permit, he's gonna, just go on with what he's doing when nobody knows what he's doing really.
I mean, typically we would like to, for record keeping within the office, if we're offering out approvals again, even if resubmitting, you guys have a 1 year expiration date on your permits currently for the certificate of appropriateness. Even if they resubmitted the same plan, I think that's not a bad idea, is that they have to submit something every time. Just because for record keeping purposes, it makes it a little bit easier for us. Because like the ones that were granted that were over a decade old, what was approved and what wasn't, those things can get lost in time. And it becomes very difficult for us to track, where if he's coming back in and yearly submitting, even if it's the same plan, then it's easier for us. Now, I will caution that as the board or the commission knows, that you guys are really, the approval is just if it's appropriate. Now, if you want to put an expiration on how long that approval lasts, you have it for a year already. So a start date or stop date is it's up to you if you want to put it in there like expected, but even holding people to that is very difficult for the simple fact of there's really no teeth behind it. It's basically like you've said this is appropriate, and that's really what the board or the commission's power is to do, is to say, is this appropriate or is this not? And whether they start on it and get it done in a month and it still doesn't expire, it doesn't really matter. You've said it's appropriate. So I want to like really emphasize that, and I totally understand where you're coming from. It's just you do have an expiration date where they'd have to come
I
back
agree with
in.
you. I think we use the same thing all the way along. It's just that, we didn't use that when it came to 347, 349, and 411.
No, and part of that
We
is
just renewed it on a 10-year-old.
right. And then the part of that problem is the process wasn't being followed as far as the building permit, where they apply with the building inspector. Like, so the city, he goes back in and does 90-day inspections. And then he basically would be able to tell us the process on these buildings. So as they apply with the building inspector, as opposed to the state inspector, then we would be able to go out and reach out to the building inspector and say, where are they at? Like get an update. And if there's not been real process or progress made, we could speak with the building inspector at that point. Really, you guys weren't even charging a permitting fee until last year. So there was really no way to even hold them financially, obligate them in any way if they were getting blanket, building permits from the state. Aside from that, they weren't really getting, they weren't really being financially affected by not repairing the building. So if there becomes such a time where we're not able to, we don't feel like we're affecting them, that's when I feel we make that recommendation for blight. And for blight enforcement. And then, if it comes to that point where we feel like the city's not doing enough, that's when we need to, start going to the city council and say, hey, I serve on the HDC. We recommended this. Where are we at with this? And I know some of these members on the commission here are feeling like we're getting to that point with the Rosmeric and the 411 River Street. And, that's really where we have to go from here is start attending and just saying, hey, where are we at with this? Why haven't we moved forward? It's been blighted for this long, and we finally went and did something about it, but we want to move forward with it. So I know it's frustrating, and I don't think everybody's like that. I think once we get those buildings cleaned up, it's going to continually be where people come in and get your approval and they move forward quickly. Hopefully, at least, that's my thinking.
Okay, at this point, I would suggest that Mike reach out to Ed again and point out that if he's not busy, this is a great time for him to approve or apply for several grants and things like that, and find out that kind of thing. And if he's going to start, we're going to require that he have a new application. So it's up to him. He can get a building permit without the certificate of appropriateness. So we just do that. I don't feel comfortable at this point recommending to the city that the building be blighted. What's the feeling of the other board members?
I'd agree.
I agree.
Well, okay.
All right, moving on.
Hey, we got one comment
Yeah,
with 347 and 349 over there. What's with his garbage can? I know that sounds petty, but why does he have it out there all day and all week and everything else, and nobody else does? He's got his blue containers sitting out in front. Don't they have a place to store those? Or aren't they supposed to be kept off the sidewalk?
Yeah, they're supposed to be kept off the sidewalk. That's
Yeah, he looks terrible. I mean, I drive down almost every day. That thing's sitting out there. It's not the day before or the day after. It's sitting out there. Like he's had it out there today. Today's pickup. He's had it out there all week. I mean, I don't know if he's too lazy or is he just trying to say, screw you people. I'm doing what I want. This guy is, to me, I don't know. He just seems to take advantage of everything and anything he can.
Yeah, the problem we run into with that is, so during construction, you're allowed to have them out. Now, they shouldn't be on the sidewalk by all means, but you are allowed to have them out during construction.
But he's not doing construction on the outside, correct?
He has an active building permit, so it's very
like
difficult.
I said, though, this guy just, to me, takes advantage of everything. He's going to do what he wants, and that's it. He could care less.
Right. I mean, I can reach out to the city and see if there's anything we can do in that aspect of it, but the zoning ordinance allows for dumpsters during construction. So he has an active building permit, so it's very difficult for me to say, hey, he's not constructing, but I don't believe that they're allowed to be on the sidewalk like that, and I will reach out to Chief Glass on it.
I don't think that that's anything that it was within our purview.
No, I didn't say it was. I'm just making a comment on this person,
Yeah. Moving on, we have a couple permit reviews. One is the certificate of appropriateness for West Shore Community College. As near as I can tell, everything that they outlined in their application has been accomplished. And I don't see any reason why we can't close that case out.
Looks great, by the way, I think.
It's been accomplished on both of those properties, hasn't it, Lee? The college and Northern Spice?
Yes, as far as I know,
Yeah.
yes, it
I
has.
think it has.
Yes.
Both those buildings look great,
Those
guys.
were approved that was approved by Mark anyway. So we can just close those out. Is there any objection?
So
Do we need a motion on that?
to close out, no, you guys are fine. It's more for your review, just to look it over. The permit closeout's done on our end, but it's just to show you that, hey, we are closing these out. These have been built out. They've done what they're supposed to do. So there's really no action that needs to be taken on your end.
Okay, moving on to item number 8, public comment and communications concerning items not on the agenda.
Kathy's iPad, there's that.
Yep, okay, there we go.
Yeah, this is Ron Helmbolt.
I figured it was Ron.
I didn't, somehow we didn't get connected till about 20 minutes after 4, so I missed the whole first 20 minutes.
Well, we're almost at the end, Ron.
I know, I saw that. I've been following along where you're at, and I know what number you're on. I just thought I'd let you know I was alive and here.
Okay. All right. Public comments and communications concerning items not on the agenda. I don't believe we have any public to comment. Correspondence, any correspondence? The only correspondence is in the packet.
Correct.
Yeah, the only one from Ed.
Okay, reports, DDA of Executive and Economic Development Director, not in attendance. Museum Curator, Museum Director, Mark.
I have nothing.
Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Okay, well, it's gonna be Zach here in the future, guys, so I just, I wanted to introduce Zach. He kind of was running the meeting. I forgot that you guys hadn't met him before. So this is Zach Samples. He's a Genesee, or former Genesee County planner, now Manistee County planner. He'll be taking care of you guys in the future. I see a lot of good things from him. Really, really happy to have him on the staff, and I'll let him introduce himself and then say a couple of things, and I got a couple other things for you guys.
Yeah, so I'm Zach Samples. Like Mike said, I came here from Genesee County. I was there the past few years, and before that I was at Michigan State. Got my master's in urban and regional planning there. Spent time, got my undergrad degree at Grand Valley State. Excited to be here, help out everyone, do whatever I can. So
Anything you can do about State's basketball team this year?
we don't talk about that yet. We wait till March.
Well,
Nice meeting you, Zach.
Nice meeting you guys.
Izzo's got a way of kind of whipping the people into shape in time. So, but he's kind of pushing
He'll break you down, yeah.
Okay.
That's what he does.
All right, I do have something that you guys are going to be kind of excited about. So as part of the senior housing project and the workforce housing project there on Water Street, one of the recommendations that we gave and the Planning Commission accepted was the stipulation that that they have to come to you guys for approval of those buildings. So they had already had to on River Street for the old dairy building. But the Water Street building is also coming before you guys for approval as a stipulation. So our recommendation is when all that comes together, that you guys try to blend it into the district and work with Mark to find out what you feel is appropriate. We would like to kind of see, an expansion behind River Street, like of that district. It's not necessarily that it is part of the HDC, but it could look like it is. And as far as residents, that will be coming to you guys for approval of facade, landscaping. What else is there, Zach? There's lighting. And I'm missing one thing. There's 4 things. But that will be coming before you guys for approval. Materials, I think was the last one.
Are you talking about the Amore building?
Yes.
Okay. The River Street portion of that, I believe, and Mark could correct me on this, but I think that's the oldest building on River Street.
It is the building those were originally two separate addresses, and then they became one address under Ross Dairy. But the building that's to the east, the far east building, there's a United Way. There's that little alleyway, and then there's a building right next to the alleyway. That building was built in 1869 before the fire of 1871. So that's the oldest building on River Street currently. So my own 2 cents, this is a project that I think we really have to take seriously and to really analyze, not to kind of rubber stamp it, just to really look at every aspect of it, because it's going to be, if it's there, it's going to be there for future generations. We have to keep a close eye on it. And that's what I believe the commission's goal is, to make sure things are preserved. So I think we really have to analyze it a lot. That's my 2 cents. So
I totally agree with that. And I think also we ought to reach out to Tricomi across the street for the old restaurant.
Flacano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a historic building and it's not a contributing building. But again, it'd be nice to reach out to him and see if we can do something that ends up being compatible with the rest of the downtown and across the street what they're doing. So we'll keep an eye on that.
So that was basically the big news that we had for you guys was as part of the stipulation of granting that special use permit, they have to get approval from you guys for all those requirements that normally the planning commission would have control over. However, since they had to go to you guys for the front buildings already, and we really wanted that district to blend, we felt that giving and recommending approval through the HDC was really the right way to go.
Yeah, I think we need to have the developer come and talk to us with their plans and see what they've got.
Right. They're not to that point yet. So when they're still going for their tax credits essentially to fund their property. But before any obviously construction or final projects was approved, they would have to come before you guys to get that approval. So, prior to anything, they're going to come to you and they will make they'll be on the agenda. It will be an agenda item. It's not going to be, something that they just submit. It's going to be an agenda item where they present it. You guys are able to ask questions. Mark can weigh in on it. If anything, Mark's probably should see the plans before so he can make his, educated, use his education on it and kind of come with recommendations of his own. And then, we'd hold the meeting. So that's something that, you guys can look forward into the future. As long as they are able to get all their requirements that they need to move forward with the project. And then, so right now they don't anticipate knowing until later this summer where they're at when their grants are approved and, the money that they're trying to get for funding this project. And once that happens, they'll be redoing and submitting drawings. So at that point, we'll ask them to submit them to Mark. And then submit them to you guys, and then we'll put them on the agenda to present those drawings.
Sounds good.
Comments by board members? Nick?
No comments here.
Nick?
I'm good.
I have one comment. Zach, I guess I will address this too. Can you investigate getting some board training?
I'm sorry, getting some what?
Investigate getting some board training. There has been no training for the HDC since, well, I'm the only one who's ever participated in any training at all. None of the other current members were members when there were training sessions. That was when Denise was in charge of the HDC.
So it's great that you guys mentioned that because Mark had actually given us a historic, I would say, savant that works out of DC. That's we're actually trying to facilitate training with and see, so if you guys can narrow it down a little bit more to say what areas you'd really like to like lock in, then that's something we can approach her with and just say, hey, this is really what they're interested in right now. So Lee, as the chair and active, most active member, longest, and having done that training before, what do you think would benefit the commission the most?
Well, I really think we need training on what the guidelines are and how to interpret them and how to apply them.
All right. Is there any other ones?
Probably wouldn't be bad to have some discussion about the economic aspects of historic development, things like historic tourism.
And Lee, the person that I recommended to Mike is Lisa Rose Merrick, and she went to school with Tony and Amy and my sister and myself.
I
And
know, Lisa.
and so she's a local girl, was born and raised here, so she knows she can apply a lot of her knowledge to Manistee, or all of her knowledge really, to the Manistee itself. So I think it would be the perfect person to be able to provide the commission with guidance, not just using buildings from downstate or in another state, but specifically using the buildings within the city here that she knows. So
I strongly agree with that, Mark. I know Lisa, and she's very good, and she has a very broad experience, not from Manistee and from Brooklyn and Manhattan. And
yeah, yeah,
Queen. She's very good.
yeah, I agree.
And we could probably get her cheap, right?
yeah, probably so.
Anything else from board members? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, guys. See you in a month, if not before.
Hey.
Thanks, guys.
Get vaccinated.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.